All right, teammates, we are back once again. As always, if this is your first time listening to the Move Swiftly podcast, welcome to the show. Welcome to the #1 show on innovative teamwork. To my regular listeners, you already know how I get down, man. Right to the point, Mr. ABC. Always be connecting. Every single person you hear on this show, I've vetted out well, I listened to, and trust me, today's no different. I have another gem of a person that I happen to have the great fortune of meeting through this new platform I just got clicked on to called Podmatch. And it's a great platform, by the way, for any podcasters out there that want to be on shows and want to increase their podcast game and all that. Podmatch.com. But it's all that, I was just telling them before we started recording. It's clear to me that we're definitely going to keep things as organic as possible, because this is one of those guys that I wanted to make sure I re-emphasize to him there are no time limits on this Move Swiftly podcast, because everything he's about, everything he's been through, from the way he lives his life, from the way he tries to help actual people, and the reason he's in business. I want to re-emphasize, it's the reason you get into business that is so very important towards your overall success. So the founder of Sharpen Iron Spear, right? Sharpen Iron Spear Coaching, Mr. Richard Walsh. Welcome to the Move Swiftly podcast. Great to have you.
I just want to thank so much, man. I really love being here. I appreciate you having me on. Yeah, it's Sharpen the Spear Coaching.
Sharpen the Spear Coaching. Now, that one hits that starts me off, because that hits a trigger with me. And back in 2002, I was a member of a youth football team named the White Oak Warriors, and we had gone from the Michigan colors to the Florida State logo. And we won the championship in 2002, and we took Florida State's saying, and that fear the spear, fear the spear, fear the spear. So there's already so many little like synergetic things that we can talk about. But I first and foremost want to just get this out the way now, in terms of, because a lot of things, what got me in the business, or what kind of one of the things that I wanted to learn when I moved to Florida 4 years ago, was how to teach a football player how to box. I wanted to add that to my skill set, and I got really, really good at it, to the point where I wrote a book on how boxing actually helps you in all sports, whether you're a football player, whether you're a woman who's been in a domestic abuse situation, whether you're a kid like me who gets bullied or anything, whatever the situation is, knowing and having that confidence and that self-awareness of knowing how to box and things of that nature. That's something that I really am passionate about. So I know, have a career in boxing. You are also just as passionate about it. So I think the best way to start off the interview, or start off the conversation, is talk to us a little bit about your background, and then how you initially got into boxing, and that, how it kind of equates to the success you've had in business as well.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I got into boxing right after I got out of the Marine Corps. So I was in the Marine Corps. I got out of that, was working at a buddy who boxed. I'm like, I want to box.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a guy who likes to do that. I have a warrior mindset.
So this was younger, like right after, like what age were you when you got out?
21.
21, yes. So you're still a young man. Right.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So young and dumb still. So
yeah, all of us.
The dumb part comes in handy when you want to get punched in the face.
Listen to me. Sad part is there's some 41-year-olds who are still young and dumb, but we won't start that conversation.
That's known as the extended adolescence, right? And that's
right.
We'll get into that later. But so I started. It's kind of, I'll tell you the first time in the ring story.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The guy I spar with, I worked at the bar at the time. I was a manager. He was the head doorman, and his name was Dave. We called him Crazy Dave. Okay. He was South London kickboxing champion, monster. We're talking 240 rip, play with 350 on the bench, all day long. Okay, great. Well, I want to box. So he said, well, come on down to the gym. So I got down first, loved up, got the mouthpiece, got in the ring. And Dave's cool. He's not trying to kill me. He's just playing. I can't lay a glove on him. Swinging. He's slipping and moving. Okay.
Sparring, right.
Yeah. And he just looks at me and then pop with a jab right on my nose, right? Bam, and he breaks my nose. Okay. You don't know that at the time, but there it is, bleeding. I'm like, I'm okay. Keep going. Second round, the bell rings. I come out and he's just looking again. And then it's pop with a left hook. And as when I'm telling you, my mouthpiece out of my mouth, out of the ring, and across the gym.
Wow.
As my head just, whoa. I was like, holy cow. So then we got done, and I'm wiping. I go, man, I got to blow my nose. Like, don't do that. I blow my nose. two black eyes, right? So I got two big old black eyes because you don't want to blow your nose when you break it. So, okay, so I go back to work, right? And I'm sitting there, and then the general manager comes in, he sees me. So I'm two black eyes, and
You
that's all messed
serious?
up. Yeah, and then he's like, "What happened to you?" I go, "Oh, I was sparring." With who? I go, "Well, Dave." He goes, "You can't do that. Look at you." I go, "Oh, I'm going back tomorrow. I'm gonna get better at this." And
Wow.
I kept going. He goes, "Well, you're not gonna be able to work here." I go, "Well, then I'll quit." I said, "I'm doing this." I didn't know why. I just wanted to
Wow.
do it. So I went back, and yeah, my first guy I had a fight with had 40 fights. He was
Uh-huh.
in the army, right? And I fought him. Okay, I got yes, my trainer threw the towel in. I thought I was doing fine. He threw the towel in.
Hmm.
Um, I'm like, okay, I'll get better. My second fight, I fought a Marine, stopped him in the second round. So I was
Hmm.
already getting better. Anyway, so I persisted on that. I trained 6 days a week. Loved to train, just
Hmm.
loved the training aspect. Fights were cool, kind of anticlimactic for me. I just love the training aspect. Got good, won state Golden Gloves champion, copper gloves, all kinds of really cool stuff. So did really well. And then I know I look really pretty, but you wouldn't know.
Hmm.
This nose was broke 7 times and actually detached from my face. I broke the cheekbone in my face, so I had plates and wires, putting all that back together. I had nerve damage on the side of my face.
Hmm.
Um, and like I don't box anymore, okay, in the ring.
Yeah.
So I trained them. I kept my skills sharp all these years,
Yeah.
30 plus years. And I love it. I love it. Hitting the bag this morning. I do it every day, and I love it. So the mindset of coming back, and the 4 steps you got to go up to get inside the ring.
Hmm.
Okay, those are your biggest. Those create the most fear. Those steps every day. I had to step up, go through those
Yeah.
ropes, either take a beating or get a beating.
Yeah.
Okay, that's business. Okay,
Amen. Amen.
that is business every day, and every day I'd be like, okay, here I go. I got to get it. Some days I did the beating, and
Hmm.
some days I got the beating. More days I got the beating, but you learn from those.
Hmm.
That's where you get the skills. You don't learn by working out with someone less than you.
Right.
I was sparring pros. I was sparring the best that I could all the time, and doing what I had to do, and that gave me the skills now that I still have. I'm
Hmm.
still a dangerous man, and
Yeah.
I like.
But what do you attribute now that you're looking back on it? This was back when you were 21, and the majority of 21-year-olds say, look, I'm keeping my job. I got a paycheck and I don't want to get my ass kicked, right? What do you attribute that mindset being? Like, where do you think that came from to where you decided something that I can almost promise you 99% of the people out there would have said, hey, it makes more sense to keep my job. I'm not going to probably fight pro. I'm already 21. What do you think led to that decision to keep fighting?
Well, like I said, young and dumb.
Hmm.
Okay, but here's my thought at that time. It's like, well, I can get a job anywhere,
Mm.
go work anywhere. Like making money is like the easiest thing you can do in the world.
Hmm.
I mean, making money is like it is the easiest thing you can do next
Okay.
to waking up in the morning. That's pretty easy too. You know,
Okay.
if you wake up in the morning, you've reached average.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're an average person just by waking up. So if you stay average all day, well, we can talk about that later. You want to do that?
Mhm.
But I'm like, well, I'm gonna still do this, and I can work somewhere else. Of course, they didn't fire me; they needed me, so I didn't get fired. I just kept
Right.
going and move. But it's that dedication to a goal that never wavers, right?
Mhm.
So if you want something, nothing is I get it in 5 minutes. I don't think about the next 60 seconds. I think about the long term. I
Mhm.
think about what does it mean when you get to that point and I can have that. Like me and some buddies like all talked about going to the Marine Corps when we were growing up and stuff, and we're gonna do this. And guess who went? Me.
One person.
Okay. But
Right.
no, nobody went anywhere. I'm the one who went and did it.
Hmm.
Okay. So my son now is in the Marine Corps, which is really cool.
Okay.
But it's that dedication to a goal. That's
Yes.
what it's really about.
Well, all right. So we have that, right? And you're getting better. You're training, you're doing your thing, and you're feeling the confidence. Because I train people how to box. When these ladies start learning how to throw a jab across the uppercut, a hook, they start talking, they start feeling like it is a level of confidence that they just walk around with this presence on them. All right.
Mhm.
And it's called, again, I said the right word, it's confidence. Where exactly in the timeline now do you have the confidence to go up to a business owner and tell this stubborn business owner that thinks they know everything, hey, you're in prison? All right, you're letting the business run you, and you're not running the business. Talk to us about. I mean, you have a book about it, the whole thing, and just the title in itself was hitting a whole lot of triggers with me. So, kind of fill in the blanks for us, if you will, please.
Right, right. So Escape the Owner Prison. That's the name of the book. And the subtitle is The Contractor's New Way to Scale, Regain Control, and Fast Track Growth While Loving Life.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So there's a lot. And that title and that subtitle was the hardest thing I did in the whole book.
Yes,
Come
I,
up with
I
that.
can
I
resonate.
wrote the book, no
The
problem,
hardest
right?
thing.
So
By the time you
yeah,
get through the whole book, you're like, the title, the subtitle is so important.
yeah, it's right. I tell people I had 27 working titles. I
Mhm.
went with the 28th one. Okay, I had to come up with 28 to make it work.
Right.
And it's good. But what that is, Aswan, is that the prison is you get into work. So you start a business, and we've all, if you've been in business, you started at one point, one way or another, and it's always hard work.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't figured out the secret to make it not hard work. I got a lot of other secrets I figured out, but that first 2 years, you're going to put in a lot of hours, a lot of work. You're going to do everything
Mm-hmm.
for the most part, right? You're going to do everything. Okay, well, you get going. Like I said, what's the easiest thing to do in business? Make money. It's the easiest thing to do in business. It's everything else that's difficult. So now you got to do everything and make money. Now you're going 2 years. Now you're year two. You're making the money. Okay, maybe not all the money you want, but you're making money, right? You're supporting yourself. You're doing the things you want to do in the business, but you're also doing the accounting. You're doing the selling. You're doing the marketing. You're doing every aspect of it, right? Running the guys, running the crew, doing whatever you're doing. Okay. And then you're like, okay, that's good. I'm going. I'm making money. But now where do you go? So here's what happens. I talked to guys who've been in business 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what they've done 5 times? They've repeated the first 2 years 5 times.
Hmm.
They never get to the scaling point. They never get to where they can grow and expand because they feel they taught themselves how to do everything.
Mm-hmm.
And if they went in as what I call a technician, someone great at something, whether
Mhm.
you're a carpenter or a plumber or you're a technician, you're a IT guy, whatever it is, you're really good at it, and you decide you could do it better than the guy you're working for.
Mm-hmm.
That's great motivation. But the reality is, you being the best at it, thinking you have to do it because you're the best at it, that's the prison. That's a
Okay.
big part of the prison. That's one of the doors that are locked on you, because you got to learn to delegate. Okay, if you can give it, and someone might not be as good as you, 100% is good, but they're 95% as good. And here's the reality: your customers don't know the 5% difference.
Mm-hmm.
They don't, because it's still great.
Right.
And if you build it right and systemize it right and build a plan, they can be as good as you and execute your offering perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
That's what gives you freedom, or it's the beginning of freedom anyways. There's a lot of things you have to do, but so the first thing is like realize that other people can do what I do.
Right.
And I did that in my custom water feature business. One day I painted out where the water feature is going to go, told my guys, been working with for years, face it this way, blah, blah, blah. I come back at the end of the day, it's done. The homeowner walks out of on the back porch, sees this water feature and goes, "It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen." And I just went, "I'm free. They don't need me. They don't need to build." Now, I would have done this or I would have done that. I would have put a rock a little bit. That's just me being an artist.
Yeah.
Okay. The homeowner loved it, thrilled, felt she underpaid for something unbelievable, right? All the right things. I was free. I don't have to be here moving rocks, placing rocks, digging holes with my guys. They don't need me anymore. That was really freeing. That was a beautiful thing. So you
What?
get kind of the idea, right?
Yeah, I get the idea, but obviously it's easier said than done, because as you're talking, the question that's coming in my mind is, what do you attribute, or what level do you have to deal with the big ego, the ego, and speaking, it doesn't have to just be men, but it's men and women, and they have the artist mindset. They have the artist mindset. They don't necessarily have the entrepreneur mindset, and they got in business to be that practitioner. They got in business to actually do the thing. And when it comes to you telling them, hey, start to delegate, you're doing too much on your own, and there's other people who are doing it not even just as good as you, but good enough, and their system is running a whole lot better, and they're going to beat you out. How do you communicate that to someone who is so stuck in their own way, that they look at you like, I'm good, or they'll go in one ear and out the other? How do you deal with that?
Well, what moves us the most is pain.
Mm.
Pleasure is cool,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't move us like pain does. Okay. So people like that, and I was one, You have to reach a point of pain to realize that. Okay. And here's what happened to me. So like 20 years, I'm going like this. And I got
Yes.
a cruise, but I'm doing everything. I'm hustling. And I loved what I did. Like it was me. That's why I started steel sculpture. Say, hey, I want to do that too. So I taught myself how to weld. Now I have world-class exhibits. I built steel sculpture like unbelievable, right? But I was one of the lucky artists because I'm a businessman. I sold everything I made. I was never a starving artist.
Yeah.
Make
A
cool
lot of
stuff.
those,
People
right.
want to pay me for it. So that was my idea, right? But here's the thing with those people when they're there, until they understand the pain. And here's mine. I'll show you mine.
Yes.
Really. So 0809 hit, right? Big economic crash. Everything just came to a complete stop. Everything, the work evaporated. In one day, I lost $500,000.
Oh my God.
Everyone's like, nope, we're holding on. Because remember, it was right after the election and it was November 5th of 2008. And it was like everyone, and they weren't wrong to hold on to their money because no one knew what was happening.
Yeah.
The world was crashing, right? So they didn't need a water feature in their backyard. They could wait. Okay. They really, so I'm like,
yeah,
okay,
because you were the one, right. You were like
I'm a luxury item,
luxury
right?
expense, right.
So I tell them, okay, well, I think this is over. I looked at my office manager. I said, I think it's over. Okay, now, I'm not blaming the economy. What I'm actually doing is saying, look what that did, and why couldn't I survive it? That's the real question. That's the pain. So my business crashed. I lost my home. I had 6 children, 4 years and younger. My wife, okay, everything is gone. Now I had to move. I had to change states. I had to do all this stuff, right? Because I couldn't sustain my business. So we did the move. I did everything I had to do, relocated, started over. What am I going to do now? Okay. I've worked for myself for 20 years. I am unemployable. Okay. I'm a phenomenal employee, the best you'd ever have for about 12 months. Then I'm going to want to run your business.
Yeah, because and I don't mean to cut you off, but I want to make sure I pause you there. And it's important that you listeners make sure you get a grasp of that. When you've tasted that feeling of making your own money through your, I actually have it. Do I have it here? Yeah, when you taste that feeling, when I sold my copy of this, there's no way anyone can employ you. You may have a job, you may have people paying you every 2 weeks, but when someone pays you money because of the stuff coming out of your own head, it could be $1, it could be 25 cents. That feeling of putting your heart and soul into something, some sort of art, some sort of creation, and somebody paying you for it, you at that point you are unemployable. You're psychologically unemployable. Congratulations. Now, again, I'm not telling you to go and quit your job or you don't have a job, but mindset wise, what it does for you, again, just like you, I've lost everything. I had my car repossessed. I was sleeping out of a car. That feeling of hitting rock bottom, and I felt like I'm good because I have it in my head, the artistry mindset in my head. So again, by the way, this happens on the show all the time. When people start talking my language, I get excited. I get really excited. So keep going, man.
I'm okay, man. I love it. So, and it is that because once you learn that, so I'll break it down even more. It's really about no limits, no caps. So I'll give you an example. The guys that tell me they're a union carpenter. Oh, yeah. I'm making $28 an hour. I make $32 an hour. I go, yeah, but you can't make $33 an hour. They won't let you.
Wow.
They tell you how much you make. It sounds good. I make $33 an hour. Yeah. But do you know how much I make? Because I set the number. I used to tell people I'd shovel 35 tons of granite in one day in Phoenix, 100 degrees, spread in the backyard. I made $1,000 in 8 hours. I don't even have to do math to know it's better than $33 an hour.
It is, yes.
Okay. So I'm like, get a taste of that. It's just what you're saying. Get a taste of that.
Yes.
When I was working for someone making $6 an hour to do the same thing.
Yes.
Back in the day. Okay. Do that math. You'll never go back.
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't.
And you get to decide how much or how little. That's what it's about, right? So that was the big key, the big realization, like, okay, what am I going to do? But I want to do something I like because I won't do things I don't like. So I have that too. Like I could get it. If I want to be, do something I don't like, I'll go get a job. Okay, that's what jobs are to me. Okay. What do they say? Just over broke, JOB.
Just over broke.
That's what that is. But so I just had to start the process again. I love training people. I'm an athlete. I've done all this great stuff and boxer and black belt and all this cool stuff. And so I started training people again. Okay, so I went to a gym and they needed personal trainers. Okay, I'll do that for now. Well, you know what happens, right?
Yeah, I know.
In a year, I'm trainer of the year. Okay, I'm the best cut the whole thing. And I'm like, okay, but then I'm like, oh, I guess
And then,
I'll
well,
go do
time
my
out
own
before
gym.
you go. That's without a certification, folks. So all you trainers out there spending all this money on certifications, there you have it. You got all right, NASM, all that stuff. It really doesn't
Yeah,
mean,
and
but that's
there's
another
yeah,
conversation.
exactly. I can talk all day long on
Right.
but so I did that. I'm like, well, I'll just go open my own gym because I have a
Mhm.
different idea for a gym. I want to do a boot camp style, take my train ticket and do all body really cool. So I did that.
Mhm.
That blew up. That was fantastic. I'm like, okay, now let's look at business. What did I do wrong? Actually, I got to swing back here to talk about that pain. So let me go back. When we talk about pain moving someone who's
Mhm.
stuck in, I'm an artist and everything else. So I had the collapse, right? But during that period, right when all that's happening, I woke up one day and it's a true epiphany moment.
Mhm.
And I sit in my bed and I'm thinking about my six little kids, okay? And I'm thinking, when I come home at night, which is usually late because I work a lot, my kids attack me. Just want to see me. They hug me. They run me. They're 4, 3, 2 years old. Really cool. When I leave, and one time this actually happened, my one son chasing my truck down the driveway crying because I'm leaving. Now, picture that in your rearview mirror
I'm looking
as
at
you're
it now.
coming
Yeah,
off to work to make that money, right?
I'm looking
And
at
I'm
it.
like, they don't care what I drive. They don't care where we live. They don't care what I do.
Mhm.
Okay, because my identity was really wrapped up in what I did. I was my
Mhm.
company, right? And I said, they don't care. This stuff doesn't matter.
Mhm.
Like I'm putting everything in that. And if I continue this path as these kids grow up, all they're gonna know is business comes first. It
Mhm.
comes before your faith, it comes before your family, it becomes before everything,
Mhm.
right? And I will destroy them as human beings. They'll never have a good relationship because they'll be driving, they'll be all ambition and no balance, right? So I'm like, I can't do that. So I have to do this differently, right? So
Yeah.
that was the big push as one of me. I really had to that was understanding that my identity can no longer be in my business. So
Yeah.
my business is called Rick Rock. I didn't put my name in it, right?
Mhm.
So I had a video. I don't know where it is anymore, but I had it burning all my uniforms, like brand new stuff out of the bag. I'm like, never again. I'll never again. I'm not gonna identify with my business. I will be
Yeah.
great at whatever I do, but it's not gonna be about me anymore.
Yes.
I'm gonna be around for my children. I'm gonna really homeschool them all the way
Yeah.
through. Right now, they're all graduating high school and everything else, all homeschooled, and I was there for them. I still worked. I built businesses, but the mindset was completely different. My approach, which is what changed, and which is why I wrote Escape the Owner Prison, because I
Mhm.
want to help other people do that. That pain is what made me rethink, and
Mhm.
also what helped me accept, well, call it the temporary defeat of my original business almost 20 years.
And you just took me back to when I was a kid because I have a father that's very similar to you with the mindset of he started his own business and it drives him even to this day. It drives him to the point where he's changed the voicemail on his phone to architectural solutions, and he's run it. And it's a business. And I have me and him again. I'm like you. I listened to you earlier where I love my father very much, owe him the world, has done absolutely everything for me, but our clashing moments have been all about business, have been all about me graduating from college and being him. My mother tells me all the time, you are just like him in terms of how driven you are to succeed, how driven you are. Like even with this, I'm not rescheduling a podcast because there's people doing something in the building. No, we're getting it done. Like that drive.
Yeah, baby.
So I get
Yes.
that from him. But I gotta thank you from the son's perspective because in many ways you had the ability to say, look, I'm letting this go because my sons and my kids are not going to just think it's all business, 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 business. I got to give them some balance. So, with that, I want to I want to make sure we talk about this is where did you develop your walk of faith? Where did you develop your relationship with God? At least, and again, you don't have to go into details, but just when did you start to get to know God? Because it was in these moments when me and my father were clashing that I started to say, man, I got a different father. I got a different, like a higher spirit. I got faith that I have to walk. So, when did that breakthrough moment, that insight kind of happen
That,
for you?
that's awesome. And I will always talk about Jesus.
Please.
I got no problem talking about Jesus. Okay. So wow, it's pretty amazing, because I call it I was a CNO. You know what a CNO is?
I do not.
Christian in name only.
Christian.
Okay.
First
I
time I've
went to
heard that
church, right? I went to church and I did my little thing, and maybe I paid a little tithing here and there and all that. And I thought I was a Christian, whatever that is.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a pretty ambiguous term these days, right?
Yeah.
So now I go by believer, Christ follower, right? It's a very, very different mindset, and I'll get into that. But
Absolutely.
so I started as a Mormon as a child, grew into that, then left that at about 17, joined the Corps, did all that, kind of went my way of the world. Okay, followed that. Okay, and that was all business, do all that stuff good. And then I started going, a friend of mine reintroduced me, right, to Christ through his example of the way he lived. Okay, didn't swear, and we're in the same business and everything else. I'm like, wow. And actually, the reason I don't swear anymore is because of him. And one day I was going off. We're at a big exhibit we're doing at the Navy Pier in Chicago, and I'm effing this and effing that, and this, these are going. And finally, he looked at me and goes, language. He just like, he couldn't, he's like, and we're like best friends. I'm like, and I looked at him. I was like, oh, I mean, just that he's never said that to me before.
Yeah.
From that day on, I like, you know, at least I stopped, I worked on it, right? It's a lot of work.
You're cognizant of it. Yeah.
Yeah. And, or it's like, say, now I don't swear out loud anymore.
Yeah. I don't know if you could ever not swear in your mind, but it's a fair point, because I still work on that to this day. My mom listens to this show. It's like, man, clean your mouth up, boy. So it's not an easy task.
That's right. So from that point, I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to church with them. I'm doing that. Now I'm getting married at 34. I get married. Okay, great. Still doing the church thing, going that. Now we have our first child at 39, and that's a whole nother story to talk about those kids. But at that, and then I'm like, okay, and I'm going along. Then everything claps, and we move. We moved to Wisconsin from Illinois, you know, and I'm there, and I'm going to a couple different churches. I'm at a church, and then one day I'm like, I'm typing on my computer, sending the email. My wife's like, who you email? I go, oh, the pastor. She goes, about what? I go, well, about being saved. She goes, what do you mean? I go, well, everyone's got this date when they were born again, and they're a believer and all this. I'm like, well, I don't have a date. I want a date. I don't have a date. What does this mean, being saved? Like, all the churches, the Christian churches I went to, never talked about it. There's never altar calls. They weren't bringing people up to accept Christ. They didn't tell you why you need to. They didn't tell you what, being born again is, like the whole biblical reason, the whole thing the Bible's about. They never talked about. Kind of funny about a Christian church. So I'm like, she goes, well, she's just looking at me like, what are you talking about? I go, well, you have a date? She goes, well, yeah. And she gives me the date. And I'm like, see, you got a date. Everybody's got a date. I don't have a date. So that's kind of my way. I'm asking like, what does it actually mean? So he was kind of helpful. And I'm like, okay, now I'm starting to understand. I went to a different, I had to go through a process, but then I finally realized like what that really means. That's surrender. That, people say he's my Lord and Savior. They like the Savior part, but they don't like the Lord part. You know what I mean? I mean, Lord, it means that I'm answerable to everything to him.
He's there.
I surrender my life to him.
Yeah.
Right. So that was another big epiphany, right? I started understanding that. I'm like, wow, and I'm reading the Bible every day, and I'm studying, and it just becomes part of me. And that grew and grew into like, even like how I do business.
Yeah.
So I started looking like, well, okay, I'm seeing all these principles in the Bible on how to operate, how to be a godly person, what that means, whether it's weights and measures, right? It's all that, whatever told me, like, this is all business. This is all how you conduct business. It's in the Bible. I'm like, this is kind of cool. And so looking at it, but a lot of people don't do this. So how do you build with a kingdom mindset? So there's two mindsets that we work. It's called the Pharaoh mindset and the kingdom mindset. So that my being a strong believer now, after over a decade of doing this stuff, 15 years, I start to realize, well, there's two operating systems. There's the Pharaoh system, okay, time for dollars. More people, less, pay less, get more, give less, all right. That's Pharaoh mindset. Okay, you got 100,000 guys trying to get a giant stone up to the top of the pyramid, and they can't do it. What does Pharaoh say? Well, kill 50,000 of them. He kills 50,000, the other 50,000 get it up the hill. Okay, that's Pharaoh motivation. Okay, we don't operate as Christians, right? As Christ followers, we don't operate that way. So how do we build a kingdom-based business? What does that look like? right? So that's when we started figuring out, like, well, what drives everything? Well, Habakkuk 2:2, right? Vision. Write
Vision.
it plain on tablets so a man can pick it up and run.
Right.
Right? We need to build run with the vision. So we started to create how do we build a vision-driven business that
Mm-hmm.
includes everybody? So again, we can go on and on, but that from the faith standpoint, that's one is that was such a big deal. And for my kids
Mm-hmm.
to bring them up knowing the Lord, again, so business wasn't everything. Now I'm around. Now I'm doing what matters now.
Yes.
I'm doing what's important, like to make them children of God who
Mm-hmm.
know who he is, who lean on him, cast their burdens on him so they can do life and do great things and give the glory to God.
Yes, and well, there's 2 points that we have to make sure we touch on for you listeners. Number one, it's you have to seek God. You have to seek the Lord. You have to understand that there's a higher power. There's someone there for you that loves you regardless. You have got to seek it. All right. You were in a position where you had to seek it. You had hit rock bottom, had nothing, and you had to seek it. And that brings me to the second thing is, I don't know if we actually have to make sure we mention this, is we got to shout out wife. We got to shout out your wife, because she was there throughout this whole thing. Iron sharpens iron. The people, again, who you surround yourself. And again, I'm a former football player, former athlete. I'm in this world where you bring certain people in your circle. You start dating this one, you start being around this one, you have just the wrong peer group in general. That PEER, that group of people that you have around you is going to be the difference on whether you make it in life or you do not. You got to have the people around you that'll support you. You got to have the people around you that are going to make you better. You have to actively seek these kind of people because they don't come around very often. So to that, your thoughts on that, just in terms of, because we know you are doing great things, but we know for a fact, you've alluded to it throughout this entire episode, it wasn't just you. It is not just you by any means. So speak on that a little bit.
Yeah, we are what we surround ourselves with.
Yes.
Okay. And that you want to be around people who are on the same mission as you.
Mm-hmm.
Do they want to achieve? Do they want to do more? Do they want to affect the kingdom? Do they want to, what do they want to do with their life?
Mm-hmm.
If they want to just sit around, drink beer, watch TV, go to a movie, do whatever, and that's their life, and they put in their 8 hours a day, you probably don't want to be around those people. My friend circle and my kids, give me a hard time about this. It's really tiny. I'm talking friends, like people I
Mm-hmm.
want to hang out with. It's a
Exactly.
very small circle. Okay, because I have standards.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm not Mr. Exclusionary, but what I mean is, like, I want people who are going to build me up. I
Mm-hmm.
want a friend of mine is going to have my back, just
Yeah.
like I'll have theirs, right? No matter what. I call them trench buddies, right? People I actually go to war with.
Yes.
Those are the people I want around me, and they're hard to find.
Yes.
They take time, and they take, it's effort, and it's acclamation and everything else you got to have together on that. So when and even in business, who are you associating in business? If
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking to network and grow my network, and I want to grow my business and find people who want to help me, well, who am I actually talking to? Because there's some guys who are killing it the wrong way.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing it, they're getting the fruit, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
but they're doing it all the wrong way. They're taking other people's fruit,
Yeah.
right? So they're not doing
They've
it
made a
right.
living off that. That's the sad part. They've made a living off that, and they look like they're being very successful. They look, from the outside looking in, if you're a kid that doesn't really know much, you're going to look at them as successful. That's the sad part.
It's character, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
all about character. There's a thing that we do. I teach my clients when we're hiring. We look for three things: calling, character, and competency.
Wow.
Okay. The least of those is competency, because I can teach competency. I can teach you to be better.
Mm-hmm.
You can learn to get better at a skill or whatever, right? Character, unless you're like 6 and I'm working with you, I can't do a lot with the character if you're a grown man or woman.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Your character is your character. I mean, it can change. I'm not saying you can't ever change, but that's beyond my pay grade.
Exactly. It's
I'm
beyond.
not gonna have you in the company if
something
you don't have a character.
that you learned in the home. It's years and years of doing the habits. It's tough.
You're not unwinding
I
that.
personally deal with a lot of that too.
Right. And then calling. Are they actually called to do this work?
Mm-hmm.
Like, do they love it?
Right.
If a guy's coming to work with me and we do mechanical things, and I ask, like, what's his hobby? Well, I like to redo old cars. I work on stuff. Oh, he likes to work with his hands. He loves that. He might really love this. He may be called to do this because he has the aptitude to do it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So calling, character, competency, really important, right? Same thing in your friends, though. Like, who are they?
Mm-hmm.
In what scenarios have you seen them do the right thing? And maybe when no one's watching, and they still did the right thing,
Mm-hmm.
right? That kind of stuff. So those people are hard to find. Now, even in the church.
Yeah.
Okay, there's great people. I like a lot of people, but the ones that I'm tight,
Mm-hmm.
it's just, I'm just selective. I don't dislike other people, but they can't be inside the circle.
Yeah.
There's rings, right? There's
Yeah.
different points of access to you as a leader, as a business owner, if you're dependent on the size of your company or whatever it is. I even had to teach my owners that there's times when people can't get to you.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone can't have access to the owner at one point. Eventually, you're going to be that. That's not what I do. I work on 5% of the business that only I can do.
Mm-hmm.
I've delegated, I've automated, and I've eliminated everything else.
Mm-hmm.
So they're out there in those other rings, but they don't get to just walk in and ask me questions because I have things I do, and they definitely have certain things they're supposed to be doing.
Right.
And if I do the business right, they can operate because I built a system, I built
Mm-hmm.
a process, they know how to do it, and they have a chain of command to go to as well. Right. So that's why that influence of who's around you is so critical.
Right.
So critical. And don't be bummed out if you don't have 7,000 Facebook friends or friends in general. If you haven't met them and shook their hand and spent time with them, they ain't your friend.
They're not your friend. Yeah.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's why I kind of got off.
I hope you listeners caught that one. I really hope you caught that one. This is a Facebook fueled world. And I hope you, because I've said portions and versions of that for the past 4 years, that it's so important that you get clear on that. Those people you meet on Facebook that like all your posts, they're not your friends. I'm just gonna say it to you right now. They're not your friends. So I do want to be very respectful of your time. So I do want to make sure we talk about what exactly are your first of all, what exactly are your services? And then given everything that you said, how do you actually find the ideal client for you? Because based on the way you're talking, that could be half the battle for you, is just finding the right competent business owner and then coming up with an actual service. So what's that process like?
So that's a really good question. So it's important in any business. Okay. We call it the ICP. It's the ideal client profile. Right. So no matter, I don't care if you're selling popsicles or you're selling high-end coaching, or you're selling cars, or whatever you're doing, right? You're cleaning carpets. I don't care what you're doing. You have an ideal client. You have the person who you love to work for. That's what an ideal client is. They'll pay what you want to get for your services. They love to refer you, right? They'll buy again from you all the time, right? They meet certain criteria. So one of the first things we do is we define who our ideal client is. Who is that? So what I do from a business standpoint as a business coach, so they've been in business 5 to 15 years.
Yes.
They have 5 to 50 employees. They're doing at least $1 million years gross revenue. Okay. And that's where I want to be. That's the basic. Are they right there? Okay. Because I don't work with startups, because startups, and when I tell people, I go, you don't have enough scars yet. You can't, remember we talked about the pain being the
you don't have,
they don't have that yet
in that ring yet, man. They take those.
That's right.
You know this, baby.
You know what to say. I was a tough guy till you get punched in the face.
Yeah.
Okay? So you got to go get punched in the face a few times, okay? Right. Because you can't value what I do because you haven't not done it.
Yeah.
Right. So you haven't tried to go through it and find out you're stuck in that 2-year cycle or whatever it is. Right. So that's the first critical thing. Understanding that now, okay, great. Now, how do I find them? Like, and everyone's like, oh, it's easy. It's just the internet. No, it doesn't work that way. Okay. And I can tell you by tens of thousands of dollars why it doesn't work that way. I've tried a lot of stuff, right? I've spent it. What do I tell people? I told my wife, if we just had the money I lost, we'd be good.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's just,
very true.
Business is painful. Education is expensive, right? Education is expensive, and you're learning by hard knocks. But what you end up doing is you find in the systems, and there's incredible technology out there now that can do amazing things. And I'm going to give you a real world example here. LinkedIn. Right? There's 1 billion people on LinkedIn. 1 billion. Business, right? Business people working, managers, owners. All it's cool. 1 billion people, all like professionals. So you think I could go there and get my people, right? You think I could go there and get myself, 100 clients, 500 clients, 1,000 clients, I have 1 billion? Think that would work? Sounds like it would work, right?
Sounds like, yeah, yeah.
Until you do it. And then you realize, oops, let's see. So I love my primary people are like service and trades area and stuff like that, right? People who are, providing the service, doing a trade, something like that, working, right? They're working because they're trapped in the owner prison, right? So they're not some guy sitting around a CEO just spinning his desk looking at the view. That's not who my client is. My guy's making 1 million to 10 million, pumping, working hard every day, that kind of stuff. Well, guess what? They're not hanging out on LinkedIn.
No, they're
They're
not.
running the business.
Yeah, they
And
won't have time,
who are
right?
they serving? This is key.
Yeah.
Not LinkedIn's like business to business.
Yeah.
My clients are business to consumer.
Yeah.
So when people are looking for them, they're on Google searching. Oh, let me look for this. Let me look for a plumber. Let me look for this. Let me for the right. That's where they're at. So guess where I have to go? I have to go to Google. I have to go find out where my guy, where my ideal client's traffic is coming from. Where's their business coming from? I have to get there to get to them.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of money to figure that out. As one.
It's
okay. So I'm saving you all a lot of money.
yes. Well, I personally invest in coaching, and I've had multiple coaches tell me the same thing is when you hit that ideal client, though, and I'll let you listeners know from experience too, it's worth the money. It's worth the time. It's worth the money because I have a business coach, first shout out to Dre Baldwin. He calls it the big domino. When you hit that big domino and you know your target and you're clear with them and you know specifically, you won't have the goal to waste your time on LinkedIn. You won't have the goal to waste your time on social media. If you go on there, it's a post and that's it. But you will more so know exactly who you're talking to, exactly what you offer, and you will feel like you're giving them. You can charge if you're not turning people away based on how high you're charging. That means you're not moving close enough to your target. You have to be charging high ticket, and it's because you deserve it. It's because you feel like you deserve. You know what you've been through, so you definitely deserve whatever number. Set the market. That's your responsibility. And when you get there, listeners, I'm telling you, I don't know if I'm who I'm talking to right now, but when you get there, listeners, I can speak from experience. It is amazing. It's the most amazing feeling in the world. So I love the way you broke it down too, to where you said this guy that you're serving again is not sitting up in some corporate office, spinning a wheel, looking at the view, waiting for time off to go and play. No, he's actually on the ground making six figures, working, doing the job, actually doing it, and you're meeting him eye to eye and say, let's get busy. let's get this, let's go up those 4 steps again, baby. And let's go.
You know what? Let me make a quick point about this LinkedIn thing too, that I realized was, so the marketers who want to do this for me, right? Because you hire these companies. Now we talk about doing business right? Doing it the right way. Why? And I filled out onboarding sheets. I'm talking hours of stuff. I got every detail. I can give you everything you could ever imagine about my clients, right? I know all the pain, I know everything about them, who they are, what they do, because I was it, right? So I'm some years doing this. Do you think they would have said, I don't think your guy's here? You might want to do what I had to discover where my clients are. But they were happy to take my money, string it out for 3-4 months, and then what? Oh, it doesn't work. I had to say it doesn't work.
Exactly.
I'm not getting any return. So you have to be able to say, here, this is a big takeaway for people in business. Are you able to tell someone your service is not for them and be okay with that? You know what? You're really not ready for this. I know you have the money, but you're not in a place to fully benefit from what I have to offer.
Yeah.
So I'm going to recommend you go to so-and-so or find someone else. Can you do that?
Yeah.
Do you have the character to be able to do it, turn away business because it's not good for them?
Yeah.
Money's great for you.
It might be great for you, but
it's not going to be great for them.
Exactly.
When you can do that, that's a big step. Just like when someone at my waterfish business, I have a contract and they send me they're supposed to have a signed contract and send me a deposit. And they cross things out and they change the amount and they send us, and I just, what's that? I fold it back up, I stick it back in the envelope, and I mail it back to them. And they say, why'd you send back the check? I go, you don't alter my contract. You don't get to do that. You don't change the numbers. We agreed upon this.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're doing that right now, I can only imagine what's going to happen during the installation.
Yeah,
We're not working together.
I
The guy
love
lost his mind on me. I'm like,
that.
you need me. I don't need you.
I
I
love
mean,
that.
that's my mind thought. But really, you've got to do it. You have to benefit your client.
Yeah,
Everything's for your client. Everything's to benefit your client.
yeah.
It's all about the end product, the outcome, what this is going to do, how they're going to feel, how they receive this service, how the follow-up is. There's a whole flow chart that goes into that,
Mm-hmm.
right? When you do that, that's how you get your ideal clients. Because when you get that great one and you serve them the way they want to be served, what are they going to do?
Mm-hmm.
Who we talk about the circle? Who do you think they hang out with?
Mm-hmm.
Other great people.
Other great people.
Okay. And they're going to say, use my guy.
Yeah, I
And
love that, man.
you need to do that because one quick thing. So let's talk about referrals really quick.
Mm-hmm.
So I come in and I do this. I build some incredible thing for you at your house. Let's say it's a water feature. It's amazing. Okay, well, you got your friend Jim, and he wants what I have, what you have, right? You say, oh, you got to use my guy, man. Richard, he's the man. Okay, he'll hook me up. So he hooks me up. I call him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now I go and I screw up the job. Okay. And I do kind of a bad job and I'm delayed and I'm whatever. Something happened, whatever it was. So let me ask you, out of me, you, that's when you referred me, and Jim, whose name's at the greatest risk here? Is it me, the bad contractor?
Mm-hmm.
Because I did a bad job. Now he's going to talk smack about me and don't ever hire me. Or is it Jim who's going to like feel like an idiot? So now he's kind of feels bad. Or is it you as one because you referred him?
The
Whose
referral.
name's at risk?
It's the referral. It's the referral.
That's right.
It's my name. It's
You.
my name. I've lived it. I've seen it, and I love the analogy because again, I worked at a gym. All right, I worked at a gym, and I was the overnight guy. They had a manager who would just sign anybody up. $10 a month. $10 a month. No real specific way of looking at people. And there was a lady walking in there who couldn't even walk. She could barely walk. She had to get her friend to even get it. I didn't sell her the gym membership. I come in the next day and she's signed up with it and doesn't know how to use the weights, doesn't know how to use anything. I'm going to get deep on you in a second because during my time at this gym, I watched two people die. One had a massive heart attack and the other one was with a trainer and he had a massive heart attack. The defibrillator wasn't even open. You had ambulance come in, didn't know what was going on. And it was, again, $10 a month, you got your money. But a young boy lost his father. A woman lost her husband because of irresponsible business owners, because of irresponsible, okay, whatever, I got my money. I could show my owner, hey, I made my sale. I got my units, all that kind of stuff. So this thing gets deep, folks. It gets deep. Every day I see that boy's eyes, like we locked eyes. It was maybe a week after he lost his father. We would lock eyes for maybe 2 or 3 seconds. And I'm like, and that's when in my head, I had to get out of this business. I had to go do something that was moral because these things, they're wrong, folks. They're wrong. When you do business the wrong way, it costs people their lives. All right. This is so important stuff. This is really, really important. All right.
Yeah, for sure. It's and that's a great way to drive it home because
Mm-hmm.
what we do matters.
Yes.
And again, I don't care how insignificant you think it is. I don't care if you're scooping poop in people's yards, you're a pet waste. Dude, it matters how you do it.
Mm-hmm.
You have to get it all.
Yes.
You don't leave some the next time, right? Because they won't know because the dog does this twice a day. You know what I'm saying? You do the best that you can do as thorough as you can. You always deliver more value than you're being paid for. Always.
Always,
If you're
man.
going to build a business, you're going to design a business to run itself, which is what we do for our clients. I help them be a self-running business so they get their freedom. They're not tied to it. They're not chained to it, right? But to do that, you have to constantly deliver more value than you're being paid for. That's the referral aspect, right? So I can excitedly refer someone to this, my dog poop cleaning guy. Because he's the man. He never misses a turd.
Never.
Okay.
Right.
Like, I mean, as dumb as it sounds like, it's unbelievable. That's what I want to know because then I'm just going to pay that money every month.
Yes.
Happily. Right. He's going to come in and scoop his poop and it's awesome. Exactly. He's got a cool truck that says, whatever. I mean, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter what you do.
You just got to make sure you're doing it to the best of your ability. And with all that, I do want to make sure, well, as we close out, can you just tell people how they can get in touch with you, what you have coming next, how they can support you if they're either a client or maybe they want to refer you to somebody? What's the best avenue for them to take?
So sharpenthespearcoaching.com.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to take you to my website. You can contact me through there. You're going to read a bunch of information on us. I just want to encourage people.
Yes.
If you know someone great, if you want to talk to me, do it. Get in the contact. Go in there. You can grab my book, Escape the Owner Prison. You'll see that. But really, just understand what we do. Okay, my goal is to help 10,000 business owners create more freedom, profit, and impact in their business. Okay, so freedom, right? We don't want to be chained to the business. Profit, we got to make money. We can't help people without money. We need it. So let's make our business profitable. But the impact, that's what it's really about. How can you affect the people in your business so they are affected by what they do with purpose and drive? They take that home to their families. That goes into their families. Their families are now in the community, right? So 10,000 businesses doesn't sound a lot when there's 32 million small businesses in America. But we can affect millions of people with that process.
Yes.
Getting our people into the family, into the community. Next thing you know, it's millions of people doing it the right way. So it's really powerful.
It is. And it's great that another lesson that you as a listener you have to take away, there's actual measurable goal. It's not just something, oh, I'm just going to help. There's an actual measurable number, attainable number. And that's how you set goals. And that'll bring me to another hour of conversation, but we won't do that to you listeners for now. So Richard, the way I close out all my shows is I want you to use your imagination for a little bit. I want you to go back to your 20, 21-year-old self. You're working at a bar. You don't know necessarily where life is going to take you. I want you to pretend that young man just clicked in the Zoom room, and I want you to give him some words of encouragement, and we'll officially close.
You got to stick with what you decide. Okay, when you're bouncing around, and I get it, when you're young, you're going to bounce around. But I'll give you a quote that I've lived by for years and years. Okay, dedication to a goal that never wavers. Resolution. This is the basic principle in the life of every truly great character. He who resolves upon any great and good end has, by that very resolution, clothed himself in power and has scaled the chief barrier to it. I have put that on my gym. I've kept that since 1996 or 95. I read that. And I'm going to attribute to Steve Ilg. I don't know if he actually did. It was in his book called The Outdoor Athlete. Didn't have unknown in him. He just had this statement there. And then I memorized it. And I've had it memorized since 1995. But you take that.
Yes.
Take that and take that in, man. Understand that it ain't easy, but you can do it if you stick to it, man. Resolve.
Oof. Amen to that, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on. This has been incredible. I know I personally got a lot out of it. And you listeners, again, as promised, you were treated to something incredible. Do what you got to do, man. Go back, listen to it, rewind, take notes. There was a lot that was said today. It's important that you take everything in, everything that we talked about, and do what it is you have to do to make sure you get better the next day. All right. So with all that being said, fellow teammates, continue to move swiftly. We will talk more soon.